Hello, Metal Nation. It is we, Tim and Mike. This is Podcast Them Down. And Mike's doing all the driving today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All right. So.
Lay it on me.
Okay. So this year, I turned 40. And.
That's not the one I meant to hit. There it is. I need the right. I need the Married with Children. Woo! When either Kelly or Bud walks in, that's what I need next.
Nice. And at the same time, Devin Townsend announced that he was going to debut The Moth, the rock opera. Yeah. The rock opera that he's been working on for 10 years.
Oh, this is good because I couldn't find any information about it. So now I know why.
So he's been talking about it off and on, and it's usually like in an interview, or he's like, he has I guess what is nominally a podcast. It's like YouTube videos where he'll do like deep, in-depth explanations of albums and like his albums and this, that, and the other that he's made.
Hate that shit. Please subscribe to Podcast Them Down. And we've done the same thing he has done. I have a feeling we have fewer listeners.
Yeah, probably. But just a few.
Yeah, if you subscribe, that'll help.
Yeah, so he announced it. And to disregard like my discovery of these shows, you know, he announced the shows and I decided I'm 40. This is going to be my birthday to myself as I'm going to go see these shows. However, as a parent, this is somewhat of a negotiation. It's not like I can make a trip out of this because I can't bring my wife along. My kids are still in school. So
right. The show, this debut show was in the Netherlands.
Yes.
You are not in said Netherlands.
No, I am in Maryland, a long way from the Netherlands. So I basically sort of negotiated like extra childcare, and I got all my logistics in place. And then I said, okay, I'm going to plan my trip. So I fly in. My plan was.
Oh no! It's past tense already. This means this is not how it went.
No, okay. My plan was and worked out this way.
Oh, okay.
So everything's okay. My plan was, okay, fly in on Wednesday night, in which I will arrive Thursday morning for the Thursday night show.
Oh my God.
And then because I guess I do have to get into this. I didn't find out until about a week after he announced it, that these shows existed. So they were way sold out. So I had to go on the StubHub and buy, because I didn't want to plan this whole trip without a ticket in hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
So as a result, I paid too much money for these tickets.
Was it cheaper than the plane ticket?
Yes.
Okay. Well, at least there's that.
Right.
Now it looks like the show was in Groningen.
Yes. So,
which is, I believe there is not a major international airport there.
No. All right. So I flew from BWI, which is Baltimore Washington International Airport, to Keflavik, Iceland.
Oh, you took, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. So it's Play Air, which is the airline, which I think is basically the remnants of WoW Air. It was by far the cheapest. So, flew to Keflavik, Amsterdam, 2 hours north on a train to Zwolle. I don't know how Dutch pronunciation works.
It's usually.
And then I think another 45. I'm probably getting the timing kind of wrong, but you go from Zwolle.
Zwolle is like halfway there. Jeez.
Oh. Yeah. So then once you're there, it's just a straight shot to Groningen. And the way the locals pronounced it, I'm sure if any of them heard me right now, they'd be like, ugh. Oh, God.
It's not Groningen. It's.
Okay. So I got there at around like 1-ish. And then I started so I decided to stay in a hostel because I figured if I'm going to be there for 2 days, I really don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a place that I'm literally going to go to and just pass out.
Right.
So I stayed at PJ's hostel, which was very nice.
But wait, there's a place near downtown called the Martini Hotel.
Did not stay in the Martini Hotel. So PJ's hostel for a 40-year-old man. I was very comfortable there.
Kids.
There were a
staying
lot
up all night.
While I on my way there, I stopped at a coffee place, like an actual, like not a coffee shop, one word.
Like a cafe.
Yeah. No dank nugs were involved in this trip for me.
Was it called Coffee Break? Because that's a cafe I just found.
No, it was like Revista. So I ordered my coffee and then I found out that it was oat milk only, which I usually don't like because there's a place near us that does oat milk only.
Oh my God, there's a place called Mr. Mofungo. Is that really?
I saw that. I didn't go to that one. But anyway, I had my coffee.
Is that really like the Puerto Rican dish with plantains and in the Netherlands? What is going? Okay. Anyway, I'll stop looking at this map.
By the way, if my like weird trip portion of this is totally just uninteresting, just stop me. And
I will not stop you. I'll go down in the I'll go down in the ship of your
overly articulate.
Yeah.
Overly detailed story. All right. I had my oat milk coffee and it turned out that it was good. So what I learned is that the place near me sucks. It's it's not the oat milk. It's the place. It was, I actually told them this. I was like, there's a place near me that only serves oat milk. After trying this, I now know that I just don't like that place. And I think they tried to like salvage, they tried to salvage their own, like the bad place's reputation a bit. It's like, well, some places they do this or they do that, which I thought was very kind. So you
come in there with your American trash talk, can't say anything positive about anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So, I actually have notes, by the way. I never have notes. I have notes this time.
Oh, that's a lot of prep.
Yeah.
That we're not used to.
So I go to the hostel and it's like 2 and check-in time is 3 and they won't let me in. Which is sort of obnoxious, but I guess that's how it works. So I wandered around a bit and then just bullshitted until 3. Met a few people in the hostel, including one who had a moth plushie made by one of his friends that was going to be given to Devin, which was cute. It was really well made. It was cool to see.
I know people are listening to hear about Concert and the album, but like, do you know anything about it other than it's called The Moth and he's been working on it?
So
does anyone know anything? Because they made a moth plushie. What if it has nothing to do with moths?
So that is a good point. Up till this point, the last thing I remember hearing about it is that The Moth was intended to be a rock opera about like, I think his exact words were like dicks and vaginas and death. Okay. And that is the only thing that I was aware of.
Rammstein's going, they stole our idea for a rock opera.
One interesting thing I'll bring up, not to get into controversial topics, but people definitely tried to like gauge my opinions on the current state of America. So they were like, oh, so what do you think? And it's like, oh, God, Jesus Christ. And there was a good amount of that, but I mean, nobody was like rude to me, which was nice. Everybody was like, okay, it just talked about it and that was about it. Okay.
Put your comments below about what you think. No, wait.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
What would you have told the nice people of the Netherlands when they asked you your opinion? I'm trying to drive engagement, Mike.
I done picked up my MAGA hat. my pocket MAGA hat.
They wouldn't let me take my firearms onto the plane. Fucking Iceland.
Christ. Oh, God. All right. So,
Wait, did you have any time in Iceland, or did you just stay in the airport?
it was just the airport.
It's Iceland's amazing.
I've been before.
Yes.
But I mean, like, my layover times were pretty short.
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about going through Iceland is like it's depending on where you're going and coming from, of course. It's like 2 5-hour flights, so you get like the perfect break in the middle.
Yeah.
And you can stretch. And they had like 757s last time I went to Iceland, which was nice. You don't get that horrible plane with the middle seat of 4, so everyone's miserable. You don't have that.
So actually, the flight's over. I paid for a seat because it was actually not that much more. And I paid for seats that they basically, for the first like 9 rows or so, they just put like, I don't know, a lunch tray in the middle seat. And you couldn't buy that seat. So basically, I sat next to nobody for all 4 flights.
Nice.
Amazing.
Well, yeah, it is. Well, it was your birthday present to yourself.
Exactly. But it was like, I want to say it was like $50 or less per flight. Like,
oh, extra.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, go for it. All right. So from there, got it was interesting. You like the metalheads kind of weaving around the town, and everybody's like, what's going on? Who's playing?
A Canadian.
Yeah.
Oh.
So got to the venue at around 7:15ish, or no, I think that's right. Yeah, that's when the doors opened. The line was extremely long, but got in pretty quickly. I stood in the merch line because I figured this is the only time I'm going to be able to get whatever's here.
You know I like the merch analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly just like regular Devin stuff, and then there were 2 Moth shirts. So I bought myself the 2 Moth shirts, and I bought my wife one of the Moth shirts.
Hey, remember that time you didn't come with me to Europe?
But now she has a shirt that says like world exclusive show.
Oh, this is that weekend where I had to do fucking twice the work. Thanks, husband. She said.
The merch line, it was hard not to compare it to Dream Theater's merch line,
right,
which was extremely fast. It was pretty slow, but it's fine.
How come you don't take dollars here?
So I'll say,
my president. All right, sorry.
Oh God. So it was Day Oosterpoort, I think, and I apologize.
No need for potty mouth.
Any Dutch person listening, if we have any Dutch listeners, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about my pronunciation.
No, as an American, you are right and you are loud.
So it's the Spot is the name of the venue at De Oosterpoort.
And that means like Eastport, right?
It's something. Yeah, it's something but it was a really nice venue. It wasn't huge. I almost want to compare it to like, where's Prague Power hosted?
The Center Stage Atlanta, which is in Midtown.
It was maybe that size, but the room was like acoustically treated. It might have been a little bit bigger. It was clearly a much nicer venue. And that is not a dig at the Center Stage. I like the Center Stage a lot, actually.
It's just a fancy venue.
Yeah, but it was probably about the same amount of people that could fit in it.
Wow. It's like 1,000, something like that. Probably more.
I want to say it was like 2,000 total because they said there was about 1,100 on the floor and then 700 seats. But yeah, it was a beautiful, gorgeous venue. The acoustic treatments on the walls. The seating was first come, first serve. And once people got to wherever they were going to stand for the show, they did not move.
Aren't the Dutch tall?
Yes, they are.
And we are average size, but not Dutch average size.
No. So I'll jump forward slightly for just a moment and say that Thursday night, because I stood in the merch line, I sort of had to stay in the back, and I had an okay line.
Was this more than one night?
Well, they played it twice. So they played it on Thursday, and then they played it Friday, and the Friday one was live streamed.
And you went to both?
I went to both.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, going that far.
it was playing both nights, and I wasn't sure how the StubHub tickets were going to work out. Like, I didn't want to like get there, and then it's like, here you go. It was like, oh, you can't use this. It's like, oh, so I was like, I'm going to hedge my bets.
Right.
At least one of these, maybe, hopefully, will work.
Did you get to spoil the ending for anyone there on the second night? You're like, hey, the next part's where the killer turns out to be a bunch of moths in a trench coat or whatever.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so the first night I was in the back. The second night I was at the stage.
Nice, because you didn't have to stand in the merch line.
Right. I just went right up.
Out of my way.
It was actually
You're using your elbows to get through.
There was nobody there. Well, that's not true. At the part that I decided, it was just like I just walked up. I was like, okay, all right, I'm here. And I was a little worried because I was left of the stage, and I looked up, and the speakers, they have like those big arrays that are kind of hung down, and I was a little worried because I was like, well, they're pointed mostly above me, but to my left they had two fills. So one pointed at me, and then one pointed kind of towards this half of the room. And I was like, well, that's really thoughtful. And then we'll get into like how it sounded and everything. But it was interesting. It's just like a really well thought out venue. If you go to the soundstage in Baltimore.
Yep. Go ahead.
If you stand at the front and you have a band that's all digital, you can't hear shit.
Right. They make speakers called center fills that I've been seeing more and more, and they're basically just tiny little PA speakers.
Yeah,
like this big. Stick them on the front of the stage for just this purpose. Yeah. So it sounds to me like they hired when they built this venue, they hired either an acoustic architect or just like an acoustic person to go through and put up the paneling and design the PA correctly. Which is something you don't see too often in America unless it's like top end venue.
Yeah, like a place that plays more than just metal. Though to be fair, this place does too. So before we get into the actual show, because we're nerds, I have to go over the gear that I noticed. This is not comprehensive.
Oh, yeah. All right. I got my ding ready.
Okay, so one interesting difference between Thursday and Friday is that Devin editorialized a little bit more. So one of the things that he ended up pointing out is that the drums were electric.
Whoa, Dave is going to be so happy.
It was a regular kit, but with like mesh, like the trigger heads and everything.
Yeah,
but and the reason
Dave, the drummer of Eisenmore and Burning Shadows, has long been hoping that electronic kits become de rigueur, so he doesn't have to haul his acoustic kit around because the electric kit just folds up and he can do it in one go.
Yeah, it was an acoustic kit modified,
right?
So it still had the look of a drum kit, but all the cymbals were clearly Roland cymbals. And the reason
an odd mix. I'd do it the other way, is what I'm saying.
Well, okay. Every drum was digital.
But it was a modified acoustic kit.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. It's just like the most obvious tell was the Roland cymbals. The reason for this given was that you have to do it this way because he's in an orchestra. You can't have the drum bleed through all the various orchestra instruments, which in a way is true, but it's not necessarily.
There was an orchestra.
Yeah, we'll get into that too.
All right.
So it's sort of true, but if you go to kind of more like DIY-ish places that have, I've gone to like, there's this, in Baltimore, there's the Baltimore Rock Opera Society, and they put on little rock operas.
Bros.
And I really enjoy them. I mean, it's all cheesy stuff and it's meant to be cheesy. But they, when they're playing a small venue and they got a drummer, they surround the dude in plexiglass or acrylic or whatever, right, which you'll see pretty frequently. Not frequently, but you'll see.
It's so no one sneezes on the drummer. Yeah. Like on a salad bar.
Yeah, because if anybody sneezes on your drummer, they basically just fold like a leaf. It's over. So they probably could have done that, but the drummer wouldn't have been able to be positioned at the front of the stage where he was. Another interesting thing is that across the stage there were lots of little itty bitty wedges pointed towards the performers, and they were tiny. Like if you were standing on this, yeah, it's like if to give a sense of their size, if you picked one up with one hand from the stage and threw it, you could probably hit the seats. Like they were itty bitty, they were tiny. But I thought that was interesting. Lots of wireless microphones. There was a choir. They all had lavalier mics. Lots of different IEM solutions. There were, especially on the orchestra, there were people with headphones. The singers had in-ears. The Devin's band had in-ears. And actually, interestingly, the drummer was wired for his in-ears. So we did it right with that one.
All right.
But overall, there wasn't a whole lot of guitar gear visible from the stage. I bought the VOD after I got home so I could listen to it again. And you can see some of it, but it's pretty buried. There's a lot of shit going on.
How uncharacteristic of Devin.
I know. Devin's band is there. Devin's band at this point, he kind of sheds them frequently. But it's Darby Todd on drums. And I don't know where most of these guys come from. James Leach on bass. James Leach has to be the most emotionless person I've ever seen in my entire life. I've seen him like do all the goofy things that Devin likes. Like I saw them play and he puts on like a sombrero, but he just looks like it is just, that man has like a serious poker face.
The old guitarist from Halloween, not like the former guitarist, the old guitarist. He never smiles.
Right. Yeah. It's just completely like he's into it, but he's got that's his concentration face, I guess. Mike Keneally is there. And Mike Keneally is, I know we've probably talked about this before, but he's from Zappa's band, like the Mothers of Invention. So like any musician from that band is like a warlock is a wizard of musicianship. Steve Vai came from there. Mike Keneally. Was Terry Bozzio, was he in there too?
No.
I'm not sure. But like there's tons of musicians that came from the Mothers of Invention that are outrageous. So Mike Keneally, he alternated between two guitars. One is a Devin Townsend Stormbender, which has like a very particular look.
Is that the one with the light up stuff in it? Yeah.
The other, I don't know what it was. I actually didn't recognize it at all. And a grand piano. Those were his three instruments. In the VOD, there are clear moments of Mike Keneally playing the grand piano with the guitar. So he's kind of like leaning forward and playing. That guy is ludicrous.
No, that's a rapper, a rap singer, if you will.
A rap music, a hip happer, a rap music enthusiast. That's a very, very odd reference. I'm curious if anybody would recognize it. So Devin didn't really play guitar. At least he had like an intro, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, where he played guitar like an acoustic set, like a very small acoustic set. But during The Moth, he didn't play guitar. There was an interlude in the middle, an intermission, an actual intermission, where he basically just noodled, but it was like, you know how his guitar tone is very echoey? It was like 100% no dry tone. So it was just like sounds.
Not the point of the intermission, though.
Well, I on the first night, he explained that eventually there will be an actual intermission.
Oh, okay.
He said, but for the sake of this, let's just have a short one. Okay. So the show itself, as I said, it started with sort of a pre-show. It was a very long, maybe like 20 minutes of Devin Townsend just thanking people. And it's very heartfelt. And I didn't mind it, but he's very detailed in saying like, here's how this came to be. And here are the things that I needed to do to get here. And here are the people that helped me get here, because he didn't know how to read music. He learned like orchestration. He
wrote a rock opera with choirs and an orchestra.
Yeah. It's a very long thank you list. After the thank you list, he played a few songs on an acoustic guitar, and he basically just pulled them out of his ass. And he was very clear about this, right? What should I play? Yeah, I'll play this. All right. Yeah. One thing that he notes during the intro, though, so he gives a lot of information on the Moth, and I want to get into like the story bits a little later. But one of the more interesting things to me was that apparently the Moth has 1,270 tracks, and this is somehow being utilized live on stage. I don't know in what capacity. There is no corresponding album to the Moth right now.
Yari from Winter Sun is going.
It's like, God damn it.
I wish the label would pay me to do that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Donna.
So,
zero chance Time 2 had that many tracks.
No. And, okay. So, one of the things I have to bring up, especially given that we just talked about Dream Theater and James LaBrie's voice, Devin Townsend's voice is fucking phenomenal. He's never sounded better, ever. And it's what it is. I mean, he's always been good at like the Fry screams and everything like that. But he has a lot of control and a lot of range. Like he can go really high, and then he can do his screams, and then he can like distort his voice, and he can do all this shit. And he's just got like total control. So like we said in the Dream Theater review, like James LaBrie, I love him to death, but he's clearly having issues where Devin Townsend is almost like getting better, nice. Which is insane. So yeah, he was like totally on point. Now he announced that he's basically like, I am training my voice like crazy for this show. Cause it's almost entirely him, not 100%, but it's like he sings like 100% of the show. And he has like small duets for some of the other parts of the show. The orchestra, the mix sounded super good, no matter where I stayed. They sounded almost identical when I was in the back as when I was in the front. Everything was ultra clear.
Great.
It was amazing
hard to do, yeah. Especially in a big space.
And the orchestra wasn't like a string section, like 5 violinists and some brass, and it was like a 70-person choir or 70-person orchestra. It was a true 100% filled the whole stage with orchestra. Behind the orchestra is the choir, and the choir is 2 rows across the whole stage of young, old, male, female, middle, like any type of voice is in this choir.
He took his synth libraries. He's like, I need this.
And they were all clear. Everything was clear. It was probably like the best mixed show I've ever seen in my entire life. Wonderful.
You said you have the video on demand. Does it come across well on there too?
It does. The only criticism I could make is that the guitars are pretty subtle in the mix. I could hear them, but I mean, they're definitely not the star. Mm-hmm. However, there are 70 plus musicians on stage. Oh, I forgot to mention that there was another guitarist in addition to Mike Keneally that wasn't part of the band, but I don't quite know where he fits in. But they were present, and when they needed to, they added. They mentioned that they tried to get a few different people to sing a soprano role, and a few things fell through. So I'm pretty sure that he was trying to.
I can do it. Wait, here's my audition for the soprano role. Gabagool.
Perfect, dude. You're in. You're in. So I'm pretty sure he was hinting at getting Annika van Gisbergen, who I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation. Yeah. Because he works with her a lot. But they got Lin Wu from OU, who's a Chinese band.
Very familiar.
They're from Beijing. While performing, well, first off, her voice is great. She's got kind of it's hard to talk a lot about her voice because her voice is like drenched in reverb. It's very heavily affected.
I looked up Lin Wu, and apparently she went to MIT. I have a feeling this is the wrong Lin Wu.
Yes, this is. But I've seen music videos of her, and like she's a very good singer. During the performance, she alternated between a white and a black dress, which I thought was kind of strange. And I'll get into why I thought that was strange.
I know why you like this band. Ooh, OU.
Oh, why is that?
They all have headless guitars.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, now they're your favorite band.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
And the drummer looks like somebody's little brother. All right, go on.
One of the things I noticed about Lin Wu is that we in Eisenmoor, we sort of worry about our stage look, and there are compromises you make, right? Like you're wearing a tunic in jeans, and it's like, well, that's stupid, but I mean, you're on stage.
Folk metal. You're folk on top and metal on the bottom.
But one of the things I have worried about to myself is like my shoes. Should I wear
Yeah. Well, I try to wear black nondescript sneakers at all times.
So do I, because then I don't have to worry about any of this. Lin Wu was wearing like fluffy white sandals the whole time, and
even when she switched to the black dress.
Yes. And had I not been thinking about like Eisenmoor and stage dress and shit like that, I don't know that I would have noticed this. So I felt a lot better. Now, I mean, clearly they put some thought into everything, but it was like, well, that's an interesting choice. It's just like, I just don't give a shit. My feet want to be comfy. I'm going to wear my comfy sandals. Another interesting thing, I'm not sure that she could speak English. And the only reason, maybe she can, but the reason I say that is because one of the people Devin Townsend thanked in his thank you list was her, like Lin Wu and another guy who's in but he was translating. So he thanked her as the translator. So it's like, I'm not sure, but everything she was singing was in English. So that must have been difficult. The song itself, The Moth itself is more or less one big song. There isn't really like an overture, but there are some recurring themes. There are often references to older Devin material. But it's just one giant song.
How long does it run?
I think about 70 minutes, including the intermission. It runs the gamut from like death metal to prog rock. This is my notes here. Death metal to prog rock to lullaby to Star Wars style.
Yeah, lullaby to Star Wars. Yep.
Yeah. but like Hans Zimmerish type of orchestration. It doesn't get heavy frequently, but when it does, it sounds massive. It sounds insane because he uses the orchestra. Yeah,
I'd expect it to sound massive.
Wait, so like Syrian, I feel like most often, or at least for a lot of their music, their use of their choirs and their orchestra is really simple. This was not. This was the choir and the orchestra sounding like a professional choir and a professional orchestra playing something classical. Okay. I'm unsure. Before I get to there, especially the intro is like goosebumps. Like it just takes you on a ride, and it's fucking awesome. I really enjoyed it. But before we get further into that, I don't know what characters Devin and Lynn are supposed to be representing. And to sort of.
Did you were at King Diamond, right?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, King Diamond, I guess his new album, he is like, it's, another story, and he's got all these characters, and he kept becoming certain characters from the story, and we kept going like, are we supposed to know who this is? What's happening? And he like tried to explain a little bit, like, I'm the doctor. But it's like, I need the album. I need to understand before you briefly put on this mask.
That is a very prescient point that you're making. Okay, so a little bit more about the performance, then I want to get into like the story visuals.
Yes, please.
While performing, Devin spends a lot of time on this like box. It's just like an elevated box, like
an ego box type thing.
It's a little bit more than that, but yes, because it can be opened.
Okay,
we'll get to that. But a lot of the time he's crouching, and for like whatever, I guess in character, right? Like it's relevant.
Is this
to
the
whatever.
Gollum musical? My precious.
That's basically what he looked like when crouching, right? Now,
Oh, my favorite song's the salmon song. He's beating the salmon on the rock. Anyway.
it's neat that he was doing this. Like, he was being very expressive and emotive. When I was standing in the back, I was like, where the fuck is Devin?
Oh, you couldn't see him even though he was on a box?
No, because he was crouching real low. And
Fucking tall Dutch people.
all I could think was my back would not allow me to do this.
You can get down, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to get up quickly.
Right. Some other interesting, another interesting bit is that, like, in the music, there were lots of like little Devinisms. So obviously the melodies sounded like his style. But a lot of times if you listen to his music, like if you listen to Deconstruction, there are parts where it sounds like an outtake from the studio, but it's not. You know what I mean? Where he's like, oh, we're not done yet, are we? But it's actually part of the song. And he does a little bit of that here, where it's like, okay, guys, we've got to bring this together. I know we're kind of falling apart, but it's part of the song. In general weirdness, right? Like this Devin being Devin.
Right. Which I'm polarizing for some people, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you're at the point where you're at this show, you're into it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Good point.
So only the second show was live streamed. The first was not. And I mentioned this earlier, but there were some more editorial bits in the first show. So he sort of explained a few things. In particular, in the first show, he made it clear that the Moth, as it is being presented, is basically like a 95% complete beta. The whole, like, the structure of it is finished. So you can record all the music, but there are like certain lyrics that he's not sure about.
It's kind of the opposite of The Wall by Pink Floyd.
Oh, yeah.
Because they put out the album, and then when they went to take it on tour, they added songs and mucked with it.
Oh, interesting. Huh, I didn't know that.
Well, now
okay.
I prefer the album version.
In particular, in here, there's like this. I don't know what you'd call it, like ballady type, flowery. This is like a waltz, I guess.
Yeah, that's the impression I got from you doing that just now.
But he uses the lyrics for a song off of the Syncastra record called Baby Song for this part. It's not what he intends to leave there. He said, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, but here's what you get for now. Which I thought was funny. So the last nuance before I get into like the story visualizations bit is that it sounds like the whole thing is pretty much recorded. But there is no album. So there's nothing to compare this to. Okay. Visualizations and story. So as much as I can praise the music is, it's clearly, in my mind, it's like the best thing he's ever done. The visualizations, I believe what I said to you is that they are aggressively terrible. And I feel bad for saying this for a reason that I'll get into later. In general, the story, I have no idea what the hell this was about. Like, so his statement earlier about it being like this rock opera about dicks and vaginas and death, it is not that. And he, while explaining the Moth during this like thank you speech at the very beginning, he more or less said, over time it became something else. So it's almost, I think it's something, and he explains it more eloquently, but it's something about like transformation in a very nebulous way, and like perhaps the creative process, but it's like one thing becoming another, and it can be minor or it can be huge. But it's about that one going to the other, and like, but nothing more specific than that.
So, but do moths change? I guess they go from caterpillars to moths.
Well, they also go from moths to balls of fire when they go to a flame. But I mean, the moth being drawn to the flame is kind of like the central metaphor.
Oh yeah, like the Metallica song,
perhaps
that Lady Gaga sang with them at the Grammys.
I didn't know
it was called Moth into Flame, Mike.
Oh, I'm not hip. I don't know who this Gaga lady is.
Oh, that album came out 9 years ago.
That's how not hip I am.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try to summarize what I understood of the visuals.
This will be great because then when we have the album, right, we'll be able to compare figure out the story, then compare how successful the visuals were at conveying the story to you at the concert. All right, here we go.
I'm going to doubt heavily that the visuals will remain this way on the album. But, okay, there appears to be two rival empires. One is red and one is yellow.
McDonald's.
Yes, Ronald McDonald. The red appears industrial and the yellow seems more like angelic. And I think after watching this once again on the video on demand, I think red is supposed to be like anger and yellow is supposed to be like lust for more.
So neither are like good things.
Right. But I mean, this is very Devin. It's like ultra high concept. So for the Empath record, they released a music video for the song Why.
Why?
And yes. First base. That was an Abbott and Costello. It was a bad Abbott and Costello reference.
No. What is the name of the guy on third?
But there was a music video done for Why, and it's this cute cartoon. Okay. And I enjoyed it. So the intro is done by this guy, and his style is a little simple, but I was like, I don't mind this, right? Like, I think this will be fun if he literally animated 70 minutes of music. Like, I mean, that's intense. But
wrist.
Oh yeah. But the cartoon is like a battle between the red and yellow empires. But I really like the cartoon.
This better end in orange, or go on.
There's like crazy robots and like there's all sorts of crazy stuff happening. But after the cartoon, so the battle ends and maybe like a unclear point. After this, the visualizations are entirely AI and stock image composites. Now, to avoid the moral discussion here,
the moral discussion will happen in the comments. Put in your moral discussion about the use of AI visuals.
Like the moral and ethical concerns aside, they chose to use this tool. And I feel like if you're going to use these AI tools, there are certain things you want to avoid. And they did not do that. And based on some information I got later, it seems like they sort of did this on purpose. They just like leaned way into the weirdness of AI, which is it's a choice one can make. I'm not opposed to the choice as a concept, right? To me, the visuals range from benign to extremely distracting. I'm sure you have noticed this about me. If I can't make sense of something, it drives me absolutely insane. There are so I like playing video games that have stories in them. And if a story beat happens that I can't reason about, I have put games down because of this. I'm like, why did that happen? Why? I need an explanation that is sensical. And if I can't do it, it's over for me. I can no longer enjoy the game.
Just move on. Keep going. Maybe it'll make sense later.
No, never. But it's part of the reason that I like popcorn type of TV, like stuff that it's like, it starts in an episode and it ends in an episode. Right. Because, okay, if some crazy bullshit happens, it's like, it's okay. Cause it doesn't really matter. It's just, here we go. But for me, I couldn't watch these visuals and listen to the music at the same time.
Cause they were
they were very jarring to me. I'll bring up some specific examples.
There's a word I want, but it's escaping me. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Often the visuals are nondescript, like a Winamp visualization sort of thing. You know what I mean?
I loved Winamp.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And these are fine.
Those things would hypnotize you.
Yes. That didn't bother me, right? Like, it's just kind of it's basically like an additional light show.
Yeah.
but it's when it gets specific, it gets really goofy.
And I'm guessing that's where the AI really came in.
Yeah, and there's two. I'm actually unsure of the exact order. I think I might be getting this wrong, but like the first thing that's unsettling, I'll go for what I think was first. The first thing is unsettling is that there's like this rainbow fractal axolotl gecko something, and it like sings a song. So it's like
right.
There's a vocal track, and this gecko is like, but it's on the screen, and it looks very strange. But in this case, they were absolutely going for this. In my opinion, this is the most effective AI in the show. I don't think it's good, but of the AI use, because this animal has like a head on either side of its head, a face on the either side of its head, so it like turns around and it's still looking at you, which is kind of neat.
They did that in Nightmare Before Christmas. The mayor.
Yeah. Except one side was really worried and the other side was really happy.
Yep.
It sings several parts, and the music is very like proggy, so it's weird at this point. And it takes you out of it a bit, but it's not terrible because it's clearly meant to be weird. It's terrible, but it's not the nadir. The next thing that really takes you out of it is like they show like the rulers of the red and yellow empires, and
oh no,
the Red Queen looks like she has lockjaw. Like at any time they show her, her mouth is wide, like a pelican could fly in there. Yeah, yes. I mean, it's fucking constant, and it's not like they just kind of show her for the first time they showed her, it's like, okay, she's shouting to the crowd, but they keep showing her, and it's like, you close your fucking mouth. Like,
I need to see this video on demand. I think
I could get you a picture of this after the. It's really like
might have to be the show image if I can't find a good flyer for the concert.
Oh, I thought you should use that picture I sent you with just like a red circle around me.
I might do that.
Okay, so like the Red Queen is clearly supposed to be like super angry. She's like, and then they show the Yellow Queen, and it's almost like, I don't know, Renaissance era Christian artwork. Like she's got like a gold circle around her head, but she looks like
She's the Red Queen. Why would you put a gold circle around that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that the wrong way.
Okay.
There's the Gold Queen. So they go from the Red Queen to the Gold Queen.
Screaming, and the Gold Queen is...
She just looks like... she looks like she's enjoying sniffing her own farts the entire time, which I think is what they were going for. Yeah. She's less distracting. But she's got that whole like Jesus halo thing going on. But it's not clear to me why they're showing this. Like they show the red civilization, and it looks like they're maybe preparing for war, and maybe the yellow civilization is too. I don't know.
Do you think this happens in the same universe as The Astonishing over in the mountains?
The Astonishing is a significantly more coherent story by my current ears, as far as I know, at least by these visualizations.
All right. Because I know what a Nomak looks like.
Yeah. After this stuff happens, there's like a girl sleeping in a pink bedroom, and the wallpaper is all unicorns, and she's dreaming about unicorns. And I think it's just supposed to more or less be like, this is what's really important, sorts of things. At some point after this, and at this point, I sort of like lose the thread more so than I already have. There's a battle, and the music during the battle is fucking nuts. Like death metal explosions. The visuals are all explosions, buildings falling over, and it's fast. So at this one point, the visuals work pretty well, except that they pan over to the Queen with her lockjaw, and it's like.
Did you ever watch Strangers with Candy.
Yes.
On the Comedy Central.
Yes.
Jerry Blank's father, Mr. Blank, was always like frozen at a.
Yeah. Yes. That's basically.
Was it like that?
Yes.
I love how they never explained that.
Yes, that's basically it. I love that show. I loved all the four, like the four originals. It was Strangers with Candy, Upright Citizens Brigade.
Oh, I loved UCB. Yep.
It was Strip Mall.
I never watched that.
I enjoyed it, but it's stupid. But it's meant to be stupid.
Yeah. I mean, they're all stupid in their own way.
And it was Reno 911.
Oh, yeah. The most successful out of any of those.
Yeah. So Amy Poehler came from the Upright Citizens Brigade show, didn't she?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all those guys, except for Adair, just kept appearing in bit parts in movies, for years. And then I think one of them ended up on Reno 911. But that's a different episode.
Okay. All right. So after the battle, like maybe everybody dies and there's an angel, maybe.
Okay.
It looks like the gates of heaven, but I don't know why it's there. And then at some point close to this, Devin steps off of the box that he's been standing on and he opens it, which I didn't know it could do. And it starts like lighting up and fizzling. And he looks really worried about it and he slams it shut. And that is the end of the moth.
There wasn't a moth.
I mean, there are like moth references in the story, like there's moth visualizations, but so as you were saying with the King Diamond thing, without a lyric sheet in front of me,
right?
This is almost impossible to try to like dissect.
I think it'll be fun to go back and look through once you know the story.
I agree. So to recap a little bit before I go into the next bit, because the next bit is super interesting. The music, I cannot say enough good about the music. Like it sounds like Hans Zimmer and Empath and like deconstruction. It's like it goes just from like ape shit to pretty to weird to.
So it's very far reaching.
Yeah, it does everything. It shifts between parts incredibly well. I'm
glad to hear that this work that took a decade to make is much less disappointing than Blind Guardian's orchestral album that took 20 years to make.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a piece of trash.
It's like literally goosebumps. Like I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to Devin Townsend.
Oh, I got nausea listening to the Blind Guardian thing.
Oh boy,
it was more like sorrow. I wanted to vomit out of sorrow for how uninteresting it was. Anyway,
vomit out of sorrow. That's a black metal album right there.
Yeah, that's another episode.
What was that band? Morningstiver? Maybe
Morningstiver. That was weeks ago, Mike.
Oh, geez.
Judging by when this episode's gonna air, that was weeks ago, Mike.
Okay. So overall positive. Visualization's terrible. Save for the intro cartoon. I went onto the Devin Townsend subreddit because I was curious what people were thinking about this. And there's a thread at the moment about like, we have to get the AI discussion to Devin. And the top comment is actually by the person who assembled these visuals.
Oh, what?
And it's an interesting read. And he basically says,
it'd be funny if this didn't happen because he quit Reddit because he didn't want his comments to be used to train AI. See, that would be ironic, but instead, I guess he's fine with it because he's on Reddit and waiting for everyone to tell him how great his crappy AI is.
Well, so this comment, and I'm reasonably certain this is real because he interacts with a Violet Casseldrin, another user on Reddit, who was explicitly thanked by Devin during one of these shows. It could be another Violet, it could be all bullshit. I'm leaning towards it's not. So what he basically says is, I made the visuals. He said it's about 50% AI, Sora, so Sora.ai, which I've seen before, and 50% cinematic stock footage off of ArtGrid. and he blended them together. He mentions the opening animation. And he says, we all wanted to visualize the world of the Moth accurately. So without $1 million to animate it or $10 million to film it, this was presently the way. So a lot was spent. So one of the things Devin Townsend talks about during the intro is like, this is self-funded. This was not funded. Like he went trying to seek out funding initially. And he mentioned this whole like dicks and vaginas and death thing. And they were like, no, we're not. No. It's not happening. So despite the high quality of the music, I think everything else surrounding it was like, let's get it done. Yeah. So this guy who is the Erez, and I normally would feel bad about like saying a Reddit username, but I feel like it's kind of relevant here. What the Erez says is, I've been a filmmaker for over 10 years. I find AI overwhelming and distressing, but also exciting. And this gets into something I sort of touched on earlier, is we even leverage the strange chaos of AI generations to create a truly otherworld creature fully in line with the Moth's world to sing one of the songs, which is the rainbow gecko.
Right.
So by that, and he says this took at least 100 hours. And he said hundreds of hours have been invested into the video. He says it's obviously a hot topic, and if you feel differently, I totally respect that. So after reading this,
I hate it when the villain is nice.
Yeah, I feel worse, but they're still bad.
If he said like "fuck you," that's how I did it.
Yeah.
While that would be totally a metal stance to take. It would be easier to hate him.
Yeah. No, I mean, it clearly, and Violet in another thread mentions having to assemble Devin Townsend's stage outfit, which wasn't anything crazy. But actually, I should probably mention this. He was wearing a black shirt, and underneath it, he had like one red sleeve and one yellow sleeve, which in the context is actually kind of neat.
So it wasn't a goth Ronald McDonald. It was
it was a chimera.
Battle is happening inside of him.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So what it sounds like is that they basically everything fell into place with this orchestra through like connections and like passion, and everything else was like slapdash. It was slapdash is the wrong word. Let's say cobbled together, because slapdash sounds like they didn't care. They cared. It's just that they didn't have gobs of money to make this the most professional looking.
It was lower down on the priority list.
Right. Yeah. And like the music was completely clearly the priority. And I get that. Like that makes sense given, but this is sort of the quality of this for what it is like it's like a bit hard to fathom, right? Like it's a lot. And it doesn't surprise me knowing, like reading all this stuff, and kind of trying to like read between the lines. It doesn't surprise me that they kind of had to compromise on visualizations. However, in my opinion, I think the choice there would have been to spend way less time and money on the visualizations than kind of lean into the tools that could kind of get you there. Like one of the things I always worry about when we film music videos is that it's easy to make a shitty video. It's exceptionally easy to make a shitty video. And I think it's worse than putting out no video. And like
that is a good question.
Yeah.
Like I would love to have that argument, but I also don't know that I could settle on a side of that argument.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, think about the music videos that we've watched of local bands, and you can't help but laughing because there's like, oh, you didn't do this and you did that.
When have we ever done that? And when have we done it for metal videos that have been sent to us for our Patreon members? When?
And to peel a layer of onion back a little bit, I totally sympathize with all those bands because making a good music video is fucking impossible if you don't have somebody who knows what they're doing.
I feel personally attacked because I filmed our video for the last RPG.
But okay, not that it's like the most spectacular video ever made, but
it came out well.
You got to work to what you can do.
That's exactly what we did.
Yeah,
and I think that speaks to this. Using the AI tools to make the Moth visualizations maybe didn't result in a good product.
Yeah. Because you can your vision, and this is like general thing. Like your vision for something can be grand and massive, but if you can't execute it, don't do it because you're going to string like points A and B together, and it's going to be with like fishing line, like just to be completely metaphorical. That's like fraying in the middle. Like it's just going to be brittle and sort of bad. And yeah, so in my opinion, the visualizations, they had a light show going on during the whole performance, right? They should have just said, okay, the visualizations are basically just a light extension or an extension of the lights, right? Like just do that. And I thought that would have worked a lot better. But anyway, after I saw the shows, I woke up at 4 a.m. on Saturday after getting there Thursday morning, took a 2-hour train ride, fell asleep. Random Dutch people woke me up. Went to terminal. They just like knocked on the window. I was like, oh. I went to the airport and I was like, I'll find something to do at the airport. It's Schiphol. It's huge.
Yeah. It's like one of the biggest in Europe, isn't it?
Okay. Did you know this? Terminal M is 3 shops. It does not connect to any other terminal. So that's where I was.
How long?
4 hours.
Oh my God.
Had I realized, I like miscalculated. Had I realized, I would have done things a lot differently. Like I would have just said, I'm going to go into Amsterdam and find I'll walk around a little bit. Right.
Right.
But no, I basically sat down and just fell asleep until, and then I flew home, and that was that. That was my whole trip. It was a 2 to 3 day long, depending on how you like to count.
Jeez.
Yeah. That's
ridiculous.
It's not the most John and I did the Green Carnation show that was basically the same amount of time. And that was the Kristiansand, Norway. So
what's your next European show you'll be going to?
The Arion show this September.
Tell them. Yeah, never mind. That's a different episode.
Yeah, no, that's also in the Netherlands.
I would love to go to the Roy Khan show in Brazil.
Oh yeah,
he's doing ghost opera, but we don't have enough patrons.
I wonder how much travel to Brazil is.
It can't be that much. Still, that was the thing. I wanted to go to Mad with Power, the Power Metal Festival in Madison, Wisconsin, and I was like, tickets are totally affordable. I can totally do this. Then I looked into hotels, and I was like, hotels alone make this too expensive of a trip. Like even cheap ones, and then throw in flights. And so when I told someone I know who went to Mad with Power, I was like, I can't go. It's just too expensive to get there. It's like, oh, just drive. I'm like, okay, well, I can't take 4 days off work to go to the show. Like,
yeah, that's massive.
So
yeah.
I didn't go, and I regret it every day. So, send me checks. Hit the donation button that we don't have. No.
What was that movie? It was a blank check.
Yeah.
Who was in that?
I remember the movie clearly. I just don't remember any of the faces.
Ryan.
Well, anyway.
Bonsall.
Well, anyway. Sounds good. Sounds like it's going to be a good album. So
I absolutely think it's going to be a fantastic album.
All right. Well, where's the Moth?
It's coming.
All right. Well, until next time, Metal Nation, as they say in the Netherlands.
ad.
When I was in Amsterdam like 10 years ago, we went to a restaurant and they said for breakfast. I'm like, what are you known for? Like, what is the Netherlands known for? And they said, you know how the Belgians are known for their waffles? We here in the Netherlands are known for our pancakes. And I said, no, you're not.